Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Trev Downey and I'm joined by Dave Hendrick and Karl Matchett to reflect on the frankly turgid and immensely disappointing thing that was Atalanta 0, Liverpool 1 in the Europa League quarter-final second leg from Bergamo. There's a lot of thoughts going through my head, and I'm the token happy clappy optimistic when there's no real reason to be person on the show, I think, this evening. But all I can think about is negative stuff. So I'm going to try and rein it in a bit. I will tell listeners now, I think this is fair to say, Dave, we have, I think gone above and beyond the call many, many times this year, but I have no interest in doing a big conversation about this thing. The only things you can say are negative. There is no upside from tonight, Dave. None.
The only positive you could take from that shite tonight is that we kept a clean sheet, and that's literally it. You used the word turgid, and that's almost too kind of a word to describe the 90 plus minutes that were put forward by Liverpool tonight. Cowardly would be one. Lacking ideas, well, that's two, but it would also fit. Tactically abysmal would be another one. It seemed like the game plan was go out and run around, lads, and maybe you'll confuse them. And it did confuse them a little bit. And then we stopped doing that. And it just became, well, give the ball to Trent and then let him give it back to them. And then we'll see what happens from there. Just poor. Just really, really poor. A couple of individual performances that weren't bad, but out without even a whimper. Not even a whimper. Dan Kennett said on Twitter, out with a whimper. There was no whimper. There was no whimper from Liverpool. You know what's funny is this team, they just piss you off in so many ways. After last week, we were out. Like, we should have just accepted that we were out. And then you see the team and you go, geez, he's gone really strong. And then we go 1-up after 7 minutes and you think, oh, well, that's interesting. And then we did absolutely fucking nothing from then on. It was almost like we went there just to win the game and get a little bit of pride. And that seemed to be it. Like, it was just pathetic. Like, the last 10 minutes of that game, we're knocking it back and forth between Alexis McAllister, Virgil, Ibu and the goalkeeper. And you're screaming at them to just put it long. Just put it long and let's see if we can win a second ball here and maybe something comes of it. And nothing. Back and forth and back and forth. Absolutely gutless performance tonight.
Every single one of my childhood football managers, Karl, were watching that second half unfold, and they all had super ideas by comparison with what we had coming from our sideline. And the main thing that's bugging me about this is I can't get it out of my head that it seems to be almost set in stone that the Klopp era everywhere must end in a shit fashion and with absolutely underwhelming results, because that seems to be what's happening here. We've gone from this ridiculous last minute winners, incredible attitude, pummeling teams, to the attitude starting to stink. We're still racking up the stats. And now tonight, when we really needed a 30-shot game, which we've been throwing out 20-plus shot games every single time we take the field, even when we are poor, we have 10 fucking shots in a game where we are 3 goals behind. I am absolutely at a loss to understand it. The last portion of the match where, those of us who were dopey enough to retain hope still sort of believed, even on the 70-minute mark, maybe if we just get one, who knows what can happen. All that happened, as Dave already has highlighted there, were little triangles between Ali and Alexis McAllister and one of the centre halves as we were trying to push through their press. It was infantile levels in terms of approaching the game from a tactical perspective. I don't give a shit if you want to go pure Harry Bassett, back of a fag packet tactics. Anyone can work out. Just kick the ball fucking long and put the big lads up there and get a few people around them, because playing it around the back is getting us nowhere. I'm absolutely livid at this, Karl, because it was so inept.
It was, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, both you and Dave have shown a lot more emotion than in this opening part of the pod than I could bother managing in that last 20 minutes of the game. Honestly, I'm with Guy here. I got bored. Guy just mentioned it before we've gone live, obviously, that it was a boring game, and that's exactly what it was. The only real interest in it was the fact that it was Liverpool playing. And like I say, you have to watch because something could happen. And like you say, you're still sucking yourself in and thinking, well, geez, we only need to get a lucky knockdown or a set piece or something like that. And you have to still stay watching, you have to still stay engaged, and you have to still think something could happen. But fucking hell, there was very, very little effort as well as very little intelligence to what went into that I'd say the last hour of the game. We were all right for 20, 25 minutes. We did a few bits. We had a few attempts at doing things, whether or not they came off, but after about half an hour it was nothing. And I just think that the most ridiculous, disappointing thing is what you've just mentioned. We've had loads and loads of games where, even though we've not played great, we've finished atrociously, and that's why we've not won. And then today we've just created nothing at all. Even first leg against Atalanta, there were chances there we could have scored. There were chances that we made, a few openings, probably should have been in front at one point. But this was just very, very poor all around.
Just to stick to some elements of the formula, because most of the minute-by-minute stuff is going straight out the window. I can tell you that for nothing. If you're listening for a minute-by-minute breakdown, I'd suggest go read one of the newspaper reports, because I can't actually do that. But Dave mentioned a thing, and I want to stay with you and then swivel back to him on this topic, because it very much informs how the game pans out. That he thought, well, Klopp's gone pretty strong here. And I suppose in the context of it could have been a load of lads who are fringe players, because we've given up this tie and we're focusing on the league, in inverted commas, then I suppose that actually does look like a strong team by comparison. For some reason, I took it as read, Karl, that we were going to go strong anyway. So I will admit to a certain level of disappointment in terms of the lineup, because I thought he'd really, if he's going to go for it, he'd really go for it. I thought we might see one of those lineups where there are nominally 4 forwards on the field, because I knew Cody Gakpo was playing regardless. What was your thoughts around that starting 11 in terms of intent? Because that's what it's all about here. We had to show intent. Klopp was, I think we all knew in our hearts that Klopp was going to go strong. Was there enough intent in that lineup for you in terms of the task that was facing them?
I think there was intent in terms of the overall quality and the attacking nature of most of those players. Whether there was the form and sharpness in recent matches with all of those, I would say not.
Yeah.
We had the stats at the start of the game: Alisson, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk and Robertson. That's nominally our favoured back five, our first choice back five, but it's only the third time that it started together this season. So that's stupid, but also it attests to the fact that 2 of those have literally just come back. Like Trent as one of our best creators, obviously, is not going to be at full force. He's not going to be at full capacity, and he still did a couple of good things, but he's not going to be able to do it all game long or be a match winner because he's not there. He's not got that rhythm. Alisson, again, different for a goalkeeper, but just come back into the team. Szoboszlai started, but he's been not good. Jones started, but he's been injured. So, yeah, the intent's there from the team, and we did know it was going to be a strong team, and it's fine if you still think that there's something to go for, or you want the first team to play themselves back into form for the league. But it was improbable that they would suddenly click for tonight. I think that it would suddenly lead to an attacking performance where everything looks good and is in rhythm and all the rest of it. I mean, even so, I think that there was levels worse that we actually ended up getting, but I don't think that the 11 we put out could be considered not attack-minded, but also improbable that it would just work on the night.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, this is where I want to circle back to you on this as well, Dave, in terms of the intent. And also, look, the bigger question here that we're all faced with is, what does the remainder of the season look like? And it's very tempting to just go, well, if it's going to be even a fraction as awful as that, we'll be lucky to pick up 2 wins from our remaining games, because that is literally appalling levels of football that was being played there. Unimaginative and gutless stuff. So that's in the entirety of the unit, from what they're being coached to do and suggested to do, the game plan to the execution of it. It's hopeless stuff. And how it gets to be that bad is beyond me. And I've no time for these sort of it's almost like an ideological thing with people where they cannot possibly criticize Jurgen. They cannot possibly criticize their faves in the team. So it's just silly positivity. I want to look at the remaining games, Dave, and think, well, this lot could have a chance. You never know, especially the way shit went last night. We should be on a high. We should have gone out and absolutely rubbed their noses in tonight. We didn't do it. We didn't even come near to doing it. And it's infuriating, man.
Oh, it is completely. In the second half today, we created 0.04 XG.
Perfect.
0.04. Yep. That's nearly impossible to do in a game of football where you have as much of the ball as we had tonight. I look, the takes that are flying around social media are magnificent stuff, ranging from I hope you're all ready for it to be like this after Klopp when he goes. Well, it's been like this under Klopp while he's been here multiple times recently and all of last season. So why would that be any different? Others, wanting to hammer lads that came off the bench and weren't involved. Darwin Núñez, for example, came on with, half an hour left. We managed to get him 8 touches in the game. He didn't complete a pass, but he only attempted 2 because, again, we only got him 8 touches in the game. Some people wanting to criticise Harvey Elliott. Again, he came on with 30 minutes to go, and we didn't try and attack because there was no tactical plan to attack. The peach of takes I've seen is that performances like this didn't happen when Jordan Henderson was in the team. Again, this person must have missed all of last season. I must have imagined that it happened. It's just nonsense. Like, people will just react to any and all different manners of shite to avoid looking in depth at what actually took place tonight, which is that Jurgen Klopp was tactically outclassed once again by Gasperini. In the first half, we did move them around a little bit. But the issue was that every time we moved them around, we didn't move them out of their shape. Like, we didn't move them out of their shape. We might have moved an individual, but because they're really well coached by a good manager, they just rotated positions and were really clever about it. So, for example, when Mo decided to go and play central midfield, whoever's genius idea that was, Kolasinac followed him into midfield, and Martin de Roon just went and stood at left centre-back. And it's all very easy for them. And at no point were they really under the cosh. I mean, there's the Mo chance late in the half. That's kind of it, really. Like, was there another chance that we created in the game that was, more than a 10% chance of a goal? Not really. Like, we could look at some of the nonsense with the referee tonight, who I'm almost certain is the fella that goes around checking TV licenses. I'm almost certain that's what he does for his 9 to 5. Because, my God, is he a little wimp of a fella. He allowed them, first of all, Moranchuk caught 2 of their kickouts with Van Dijk all over him and was allowed to play on despite the ball very clearly hitting his arm. They were allowed to boot our lads whenever they saw fit, rarely got a yellow card. Their goalkeeper was allowed. Now, again, there's a rule. So this is not just me making something up. There's a rule that states that a goalkeeper cannot have the ball in his hands for more than 6 seconds. Their goalkeeper, every time he had the ball in his hands, had it in his hands for 25 or more seconds, every single time. Mm-hmm. Every time he caught a cross, he fell on the floor and lay on the floor for up to 20 seconds. And the referee not only allowed this, but didn't add any time on at the end. Now, we could have been playing till tomorrow and we weren't going to score 2 goals. But the fact that he allows 3 minutes of stoppage time in a game where there were 6 different sub breaks in the second half, multiple players were booked, and they were allowed to time waste. And did anyone else notice that the footballs around the pitch all disappeared in the last 20 minutes? So every time the ball went out of play, our lads had to go and run and get the ball back because there was no ball to pick up and throw back in. There's also the matter of a ball being played through, Luis Diaz is onto it, and their defender handles it on purpose, denying a goal-scoring opportunity as the last defender. And not only does he not get a red card, our player gets the same punishment as he does for his indiscretion. So, but again, the referee isn't why we lost tonight. It's just worth mentioning that these are things that took place in the game. But none of that stops us from trying to win the game. None of that stops us from showing a little bit of urgency, a little bit of heart, a little bit of fight, a little bit of respect for the travelling fans who've paid their hard-earned money to fly over there, go the game, probably have to stay in a hotel tonight, and then fly back tomorrow.
There's a world, isn't there, where those ridiculously, consistently wretched decisions by that hemorrhoid inspector of a referee actually result in us getting some fight and spirit into us. That would be nice, wouldn't it, as a reaction?
But just completely flat. Yeah. Completely flat tonight.
You mentioned something about chances there, and it's worth mentioning this because, like I say, this is not going to be your blow-by-blow match reliving, folks. It's just not. But just to give the evidence to back up what Dave was saying there in terms of big chances created, the minute we introduced our triple substitution intended to kick us into some sort of higher gear of Jota, Darwin and Harvey for Mo and Dom and Luis Diaz, who'd been various levels of ineffective and wretched, and there were lads who stayed on the pitch who were worse. There was not a solitary fucking chance for us. Not one chance at all. Now, this is where you need to start having a proper conversation with yourself. If you're listening to this show and you're thinking, well, it's okay, like, you know, the main thing anyway, this is always a long shot. The main thing now is the league. Is it? Is it? Because what has happened here is that the arse has fallen out of this side in every way possible, because that's what's manifesting on the pitch. And Karl, to bring you back in on this as well, the lack of creativity in the second half, that stat that Dave quoted earlier on about the XG, I mean, that is just terrifyingly awful, and it's infuriating on a level that I'm barely able to articulate. But, you know, you could say realistically that we don't really do a whole lot. After Dominic Szoboszlai has a shot in 12 minutes, that's a couple of minutes, 6 or 7 minutes after the Mo penalty. There's very little. I think Luis Diaz is nearly in after a brilliant bit of play from a good Trent ball. And then there's the Mo chance. But apart from that, there's nothing really. It's not like we can recount all these wonderful opportunities like in the past, in recent games where, oh, well, if only Núñez had scored one of his 15 opportunities, or if only Mo had scored one of his 15 opportunities. How do you explain, Karl, that lack of creativity? And you have to include the first half in this, because as we saw, we had 5 shots on target in the whole game, in a game where we're chasing 3 goals and need 4.
I mean, 5 shots on target is fine. It's doable if, you know, it's maybe 5 of 25 and 5 of them are on target because they're the really good quality ones, but they weren't. You know, even the ones on target were not particularly dangerous. They were not particularly good. You know, we had a free kick from Trent which went into the wall, a shot from Trent soon afterwards which went miles and miles over the bar. I think in the second half they had the first 3 or 4 shots at all, and then I can't even remember, was it a Van Dijk header went on target?
From a free kick, but it was
nothing. Like there was nothing whatsoever. I think the late flick from Núñez, I'm not even sure if it was really an attempted effort on goal or just to flick it on or whatever, that counted as well. You can't really explain away a lack of creativity other than it looked like we had believed a lot of what was being said before the game about how bad our form was, because like the team was playing better than the results were in terms of creating chances, not the overall performance level. We know those were bad, but they were creating chances and missing loads. But it seems like that had translated itself into the group think that they were playing badly altogether, which is what we got tonight. We basically seemed to manifest that kind of bad performance out. And whether it was a case of we'd been so open recently, and so we were thinking about being a bit more reserved, being a bit more about not losing possession first and foremost, and playing from behind the ball. Obviously the forwards, but the midfield in particular, maybe a little bit of that. But even so, it's not like we absolutely bolted the door on any kind of chance whatsoever. They did have 2 or 3 openings. Obviously the goal they had ruled out was fine because it was offside, but it was a bit of a narrow call sort of thing. There were 1 or 2 sort of defensive mistakes which allowed them in. I don't really think that there's much of an explanation here. I just read Klopp's post-match quotes as well.
Can we talk about them?
I mean, I think we fucking should, really.
Any danger of posting? Can you post them there, please?
These are an embarrassment.
I mean, yeah, I'll post them in the chat here, and I'll read them out while I'm putting it in. Like the first bit is fine. We lost it at home and gave ourselves a massive hurdle. Right, fine, all good with that. I liked the game tonight a lot. Lots of commitment, and the power the boys showed was incredible.
Fucking hell.
We're back to winning ways. We won the game tonight. That was the reaction we had to show. The boys showed it. I'm not surprised. They always do that. Disappointed that we're out, but happy with big parts of the game. I'm glad someone is. That's all I can really say about that.
Wow.
I loved the way we started the game. We didn't lose the game tonight or the tie tonight. We lost it at home. It's very easy to congratulate Atalanta. They deserve to go through. This tonight was the reaction we needed. I am happy with big parts of the game. Like, can we get him drug tested or something?
And the one that both of you have left out, we can now focus on the league, and that is exactly what we will do from now on.
Yeah, so can City and so can Arsenal,
who
are both in much better form than us. We haven't scored in open play since, the Diaz goal at Old Trafford. I've just seen someone say it's 6 hours of game time that we haven't scored an open play goal.
Well, we can talk about that in conjunction with what happened in the first half. Let's just pick out the main items in the first half. So there is the Mo Salah penalty. It comes from reasonably quick Trent cross, deliberate handball, I guess. Anyway, it went to a way too long VAR check and then was given Mo Salah. And on the back of that, we did have him penned in for a while. Now, in the middle of this, though, I have noted that in the early goings, Ali's kicking is atrocious. He's not finding men at all with his kicks, with his passing out from the back. And then that started to become catching. Our passing was atrocious. And we were their biggest creative asset in that match because they are very, very good on the counter-attack. They're quick. They can play incisive one-touch passing and they can cut through us. And that was a nervous thing that was sitting there for the entirety of the game. If anything, they actually looked more dangerous for the entirety of the match, despite the fact that they had only 30% of the ball or whatever it was. There were a couple of chances, though. Gakpo plays in Luis Diaz on 11 minutes. The keeper's out of his feet. Dominic hits a shot a minute later with a bit of venom, but it's again at the keeper on low. 13 minutes, though, we need Ali to pull off a wonder save after Dom has hit a ball infield, like one that we saw very recently in another game where we're talking about why would anyone do that. Kind of a blind ball infield, caused chaos. Thankfully, they were offside. It is a wonder save from Ali in the middle of it. Another loose ball by Luis Diaz allows them an attack on 18 minutes, and Ali has to get out of the feet of the attacker who's played through with a nice ball by Scamacca. And that's how easy it is for them. Now, on the balance of that, you can see already it's pretty much half and half in terms of chances. More giveaways by us on about the 26-27 minute. Two of them lead to two separate attacks, and the last one is Maranchuk pulling a shot across the face of goal. On the balance of play, they've had the better opportunity so far, and then we have the one that should finish it. We have a couple in a row here. There's an incredible break. Trent is doing his Trent thing in the early goings of the game before he went absolutely to the dogs and started just like looking like he was barely interested, slicing balls left, right and centre, shit attitude, jogging around the place. And if you don't like that, if you're like some sort of super Trent fan, just keep it to yourself. I don't care, and don't come at me about it. That's my personal opinion. I thought he went to crap in that second half, and I guess it's understandable if he's tired or whatever, but he really looked it. But in these early goings, we saw some of the best side of Trent. And it's an incredible pass on about the half-hour mark that launches this attack. It's a really nice attack, and Luis Diaz is nearly in, but the last pass is intercepted. 8 minutes later, we have the one that should be putting us 2-0 in going at half-time. And at that stage, even with a very patchy first half performance, you'd have backed us to do what we need to do in the second half. It's Cody Gakpo who puts Mo Salah through. Now, I want to get a take from both of you on this, because there's been a lot of talk about Salah, and we might as well talk about this, because if we're going to do anything, if we're going to even just, try to finish as high as possible in the league, we're going to need Salah to be a lot better than he has been. He's not the only one. But that is a wonderful opportunity. And what really annoyed me about this one and made me worry was that he had actually got time on it. It's on a strong foot. All he has to do is execute it properly. I'm finding that a worry, I'll be honest. And a couple of minutes later, Coop Miners is putting Trent under pressure, and they had the ball in the net a minute later off Coop Miners, but he was offside. It was terrible. The first half was terrible. The only other thing of note that I've noticed there is the deliberate handball you spoke about, Dave, which Luis Diaz ends up getting booked for mentioning, and the fact that we needed Ibu to be very good on 46 minutes against Maranchuk. That's not very entertaining. That's not very exciting, and it's not very positive. Speak to me about the lack of creativity as you saw it, and just do focus on Mo Chance. It's not to single him out, but why wouldn't we single him out? He's our superstar, and he hasn't been himself of late.
No, he hasn't, and he doesn't look like he has any burst. He can't run away from people anymore, and that's part and parcel of him aging. It's also part and parcel of him having had not one but two injuries, because we rushed him back and played him too quickly in that Brentford game. And he's looked really, really, because he came on in that Brentford game and was absolutely brilliant. And he's been terrible since he came back. Like, he really has. And I would imagine he's just not actually 100% fit. He just doesn't play like a fella who's 100% fit. And why else would we be taking him off on 60 if he was 100% fit? And his ball striking is very off at the moment. Like, even the penalty, that's the big run up and the blast, and it bobbles over the line like it's a proper scuff. Like, it's not a good strike. I know it goes in, so it's a good goal, because all goals are good goals, but he's not striking the ball well. And that chance, like you said, it lands perfectly. It's a really easy chance for a player of his caliber. Now, for the normal human being, it's very difficult.
You say that, I'd be pissed off. If that was on my strong foot and it was bouncing in front of me, I had time to make the contact I wanted to make. Now, I can see how I might do what Mo did, but fuck me, like, I'd be annoyed.
But that's the thing, it would be understandable if you did what Mo did. Yeah. It would be understandable if Luis Diaz did what Mo did, or if Darwin did what Mo did, because they're not 30-goal-a-season players the way he is. But it comes off his ankle. Like, it doesn't even come off his foot. It comes off his ankle, which tells me he's not striking the ball confidently. He's not in any sort of rhythm. And right now, he's just not offering anywhere near enough. And if anyone wants an example of why algorithm-based player ratings are the biggest pile of shit in the world, go and look at the ratings for our midfield three, for Mo and for Gakpo, on FootMob and SofaScore. One of them gave Mo an 8.2 for his performance tonight. That was a 3 out of 10 performance. And he scored, so maybe you'd bump it to a 4. If anyone wants to know why, if you post algorithm-based ratings, I'm just going to call you an idiot. It's because they're garbage, and tonight is further proof of that. But he just doesn't look right, Trev. I don't think he's fit. I also don't think Dominic is fit, because he looks like he can't turn properly. Like, the Dominic we signed, the Dominic we had in the first part of the season, was so explosive, changing directions. The current Dominic can't change directions without stopping and starting again. That's a concern. Curtis Jones doesn't look right. Him and Dominic seemed to be in a competition in that first half to see who could give the ball away the most. Trent played a couple of passes that only Trent can play, and then decided he was only going to play those passes, and completed 77% of his passes in the game, which is pathetic. And I don't care how high risk some of the passes are. If you're playing that many high-risk passes, things are going wrong. Like, the whole tactical plan, we've talked about the lack of creativity in this team and in Jurgen Klopp football in general. The whole tactical plan can't just be give it to Trent and hope for the best. It just can't be. And that's basically what it is. Give it to Trent, make runs, and hope for the best.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.